Damian, just want to start with you. Which is the bigger loss? Is it J.J. Watt or is it Davante Adams?
Yeah, Ross, I'm going to have to go with Davante Adams. And you talk about the chemistry that he has with Aaron Rodgers, one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver in the National Football League. And when you talk about the Green Bay Packers, particularly on the offense, I mean, this is a guy that Aaron Rodgers counts on the most in the passing game to make those explosive plays. They're also going to be without Alan Lazard as well. So you're talking about two of their top players. But listen, as great as we talk about Aaron Rodgers, when you take away pieces like that from the Green Bay Packers, man, that's going to limit what the Packers like to do, particularly through the air. We know they have Aaron Jones, who, without Davante Adams, he's averaged like 125 scrimmage yards per game. But anytime you're taking away a big-time receiver like Davante Adams, it's going to be a huge, huge miss for Aaron Rodgers in that offense. So I'm going with Davante Adams.
I'm not going to answer this question yet because I still can't get over when Roz said to you, Wood, it's so nice to see you. You responded with, I know. It wasn't anything like, anything you two. It was like, I know. It's so nice to see me.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is.
Were you just on auto mode? Oh, by the way, Dan, it's nice to see you as well. You know that?
It's great. It's great to see you as well, Roz. It's I'm kind of in this complimentary mode as well, and unlike Wood. Listen, Davante's a great player. I think the J.J. Watt injury is huge tonight. J.J. Watt is the best player on the number one defense in the NFL. The Cardinals have the best defense in football through the first 7 weeks of this season, and he has been their best player. He's created more pressures than anybody on their defense. He's equaled 11 incompletions, whether it's pressure on the quarterback or batting the football down. And the Cardinals defense is really good at a lot of things. Wood, you know this.
Yep.
But one of the things they're not great at is stopping the run. Specifically, as me in an offense, if I put two tight ends on the football field and I want to run the ball, they're not great at stopping the run. Who's their best run defender? J.J. Watt. So now the Cardinals lose their best run defender. They arguably lose their best pass rusher this season. Chandler Jones has missed some time. I think this is a huge loss. Davante Adams is an important piece, but in the past couple of years, the Packers are 6-0 without Davante Adams, while averaging 33 points a game. This offense is built upon touches. Lazard being out is a big conversation, yes, but Robert Tunyon's still going to have a good game. Aaron Jones is still going to have a good game. Amari Rodgers, their third-round draft pick from Clemson, this is the moment where he steps forward and has a big game. A.J. Dillon, their second-round pick from last year, he's going to get more touches. Let's see if MVS or Equanimeous St. Brown steps up at the wide receiver spot. I think the J.J. Watt injury is huge tonight because if I'm Matt LaFleur, the head coach of the Packers, or I'm Nathaniel Hackett, their offensive coordinator, you guys are going to get a heavy dose of the run game tonight. And now that your best player is out, he's the strength of your weakness. I think J.J. Watt totally swings this football game. Before this news, I would have thought, man, I don't know how Green Bay could win this game. I think Green Bay now has a better chance to win this football game significantly because J.J. Watt is not playing in this game.
Well, listen, Dan, I'm not here to say that to minimize what J.J. Watt brings to the table as far as the Arizona Cardinals is concerned. I actually think that J.J. Watt counts more in the latter part of the season because this Arizona Cardinals team is a young team. I think that's why they brought in a J.J. Watt, A.J. Green to help those guys, show those guys how to be professionals and help them finish, because that's really been the issue with the Arizona Cardinals down the stretch is finishing. And I think that's what J.J. Watt's, where he would truly have an impact on the Arizona Cardinals. But again, when I look at Davante Adams and what he brings to the table, especially going up against this Arizona Cardinals defense, Dan, like we've seen all season, this Arizona Cardinals defense has been really, really good. They've been really, really good. As much as we talk about Kyler Murray and all the weapons that they have on offense, their defense has been playing really, really well. And you take away their key receiver on the outside, Davante Adams. Yes, I know about Aaron Jones. I know they're going to have to, run the ball more with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. But that's also going to make them a little bit more one-dimensional, in my opinion, because, Tunyon is a guy that's featured more in the red zone. He's not, really the guy that has been that dependable between the 20s. He's more been like eating in the red zone. That's where he's been eating a lot for the Green Bay Packers. Now they're going to have to step up his role in that manner if they're going to go, going up against the Arizona Cardinals. But I just think that Davante Adams being out, that's a huge blow for the Green Bay Packers in this game.
Doesn't the fact that they're 6-0 without him over the past couple of years matter? And I know Alan Lazard was part of those games, and he had kind of big games in his absence, but they're 6-0 without him. We have data, we have evidence, we have tape that shows that they know how to overcome because of their offensive line, because of their scheme. You talked about the Cardinals' defense being so good this year in comparison to last year, and they were getting better on the back half of last year, but the fundamental difference, at least player-wise, on this defense this year is J.J. Watt. Like, Isaiah Simmons is in his second year, and he's definitely upped his play, and Zaven Collins, their first-round pick, has played, but J.J. Watt's the real addition that has played a ton of snaps for this defense, that has transitioned it from the beginning of last year being a poor defense to the middle last year being a improving defense to now they're the number one defense in football, and he is their best player. That is an enormous loss for a football team. We have proof that the Packers are able to overcome playing a game without Davante because of all their pieces and because of their big fellas up front and because of their quarterback. We have no proof that this defense can still be the best defense in football without J.J. Watt.
Well, Dan, I'm just talking about listen, yes, we know about the stat of 6-0, but I'm talking as it relates to going up against this Arizona Cardinals defense and how good they have been. Taking away Aaron Rodgers' number one threat, again, that's going to be huge going up against this defense because the secondary is playing some pretty good football. And yes, J.J. Watt coming out, not being available, is definitely going to affect them as far as pass rushing capability. But I'm going to say it again. Davante Adams, not having Davante Adams against this Arizona Cardinals defense, I think it's going to make them a little bit more one-dimensional as far as the Green Bay Packers. We're going to see more of those two, being reliant on those two backs in the backfield. And let's see if the Arizona Cardinals can figure that out.
Now, guys, certainly both teams are coming into this matchup weaker, significantly so, with big losses as far as who's available on their roster. But it's even more responsibility on the leadership of the quarterback. So as we look to Aaron Rodgers and Kyler Murray, who's the more dangerous quarterback? Dan, you like this one. All right, I'll start with you.
Yeah, right. This is, you can't be right and you can't be wrong on this answer. I still say Aaron Rodgers. I think that Aaron Rodgers is one of those rare players. I think he's one of the rare quarterbacks in the history of the NFL that is a three-way guy. He could beat you with his mind, he could beat you with his arms, and he could beat you with his legs. And I know Kyler is emerging into that, and Kyler's a better scrambler, so to speak, or a better creator with his feet. But I've seen Aaron Rodgers time and time again make the inexplainable throw. We think of the throw against San Francisco where he lofts it over Fred Warner to Davante Adams for essentially to get them into field goal range to win that football game. I remember the throw against the Cincinnati Bengals to Randall Cobb on the in route while his hand is getting hit and making that ridiculous throw. I think of danger as, all right, what guy can harm me more? Like, what guy can hurt my football team more? And again, Kyler is special, but I look at Aaron Rodgers as a guy that I've watched on a continuous basis hurt teams, no matter how teams have tried to minimize his impact or take away his ability to, okay, we're going to keep him in the pocket. He cuts you up. We're going to force him one way in the football field. He's good enough throwing in full speed scrambles to the right or the left. We're going to force him to play patient football. He does that. I look at Aaron Rodgers as the most dangerous quarterback probably that I've ever seen in my life because he could beat you in those three different ways.
Yeah, listen, Dan, I agree with what you said right off the top that, this is close when you're talking about which quarterback is more dangerous. I'm going to go with Kyler Murray. And, when I look at what they have going on, with Cliff Kingsbury has going on in Arizona with their air raid offense, how they're able to spread people out with all the playmakers that they have. I think what Kyler Murray brings to the table is different than almost any quarterback in the National Football League, because a lot of times when you have a guy that's like a Tasmanian devil as far as running the football, this dude is just so hard to contain in the pocket. But what makes him special is the accuracy that he can throw off platform. It's rare that you see guys with his athleticism and be able to make the touch passes, the touch throws that Kyler Murray is able to make. And when you're in the offense, again, the spread offense with all the playmakers that they have, D Hop and AJ Green and all those guys, Christian Kirk and company, Rondale Moore, it stresses the defense so much because now you got to account for the quarterback. Dan, you know this in pro football, man. When you got a quarterback that can beat you both with his leg and his arm, it puts so much stress on the opposing defense. And I think that's where the Arizona Cardinals is really just taking that next step, because I think Kyler Murray, not only is he a tremendous athlete, but the way he throws the football is almost unparalleled of anything we've seen so far.
If this game comes down to the fourth quarter, 2 minutes left, who are you more scared who had the ball? If Green Bay gets the ball, Arizona, who do you have more faith in to go and score a game-winning touchdown? Who are you more scared of to go and break your soul, take your heart?
Listen,
it's Aaron Rodgers for me.
Well, listen, I think the reason that it's an unfair question is because who has a bigger body of work? Okay, it's easy for us to go with Aaron Rodgers because we've seen 16 years of greatness from Aaron Rodgers.
Right now, today,
we've seen Aaron Rodgers make those clutch plays time and time again. But that doesn't diminish
we saw the Hail Mary for Kyler.
That doesn't diminish what Kyler Murray diminish what Kyler Murray is doing. Let me ask you a question: Who's the MVP? Who's the MVP right now? If you had to pick,
Matthew Stafford.
Come on, Dan. Come on,
Matthew Stafford
over Kyler Murray. Over Kyler Murray right now? No.
I would take Matthew Stafford over Kyler Murray.
No.
I answered your question. Answer mine. Who would you be more scared of if tonight's game comes down to 90 seconds on the clock? Who are you more scared of if you're playing against them, or who do you have more faith in if you're rooting for them? Aaron Rodgers with the football or Kyler Murray with the football?
I'm going with Kyler Murray because he got the healthy. He has the healthy set of wide receivers. I don't care
if I'm playing wide receiver. Aaron Rodgers will find a way to get that play. 4 weeks ago against the Cincinnati Bengals, he made a game-winning throw while his hand is getting hit to an in-route on Randall Cobb, and everyone made fun of him and the Packers for trading Randall Cobb because he didn't do anything in Houston last year.
That's nice. We've seen Kyler Murray make throws like that. What are you saying here, Dan?
We ain't seen Kyler Murray.
What are you saying here? We haven't seen the spectacular from Kyler Murray? Is that what you're trying to tell me right now?
We haven't seen that throw in that moment from Kyler Murray. We haven't. We've seen some really good throws from Kyler Murray. We have not seen the throw that Rodgers makes against San Francisco or Fred Warner's head out of Kyler Murray.
I think again, I'm going to go back. I think the question is unfair because everybody's seen the big body of work from Aaron Rodgers, so it's easy to lean that way. But for me, I'm going with Kyler Murray.
All right, guys. We're going to have you guys simmer down, you Tasmanian devils. Is that what you?
Rise,
you
see what happened?
You like the Tasmanian devils.
Rise,
you see the Tasmanian devils.
Now, I shared a locker room with this guy. Okay, you see what happens when you start to go get manicures and pedicures, Wood?
Oh.
You get soft. You lose your dog.
See,
you get soft. You lose your dog.
Now, Dan knows better. Dan knows better.
You used to be a tough guy. Now you're trying to get the manicure, the pedicure, all that stuff. You used to be a dog.
I'm fresh.
There's nothing
wrong.
Don't
hate on me because I'm fresh.
Tapping in with your softer side. That's okay, as long as the takes are hard, okay? All right, we'll be back. We still to come on First Take. Josh Allen and the Bills, not first in the standings, but Vegas thinks they're coming out of the AFC. Do our guys agree?
Traveling through this world of war.
Touchdown Tampa Bay.
Are you kidding me?
Oh my goodness.
That's crazy.
Every week they challenge you physically, mentally, emotionally. It takes 100% of what you have every single day to go out there and be successful.
The Bills are 4-2 right now and sitting on top of the AFC East. Josh Allen has picked up where he left off last season when many were calling him an MVP candidate, while Stephon Diggs continues to be one of the best wide receiver conference favorites, according to Caesars Sportbook. Buffalo currently has the shortest odds at plus 220, while Kansas City, despite being 3-4, have the third shortest odds behind Baltimore at plus 500. All right, let's welcome back in the crew here, Damian Woody, Dan Orlovsky. Everybody's got a manicure. Everybody's well lotioned, ready to go.
Man got soft, Rob. He got soft on me, man. This man used to be about the line of scrimmage. Now he's talking receivers.
I still am about that life. I'm still about that life. Okay, I just choose to take care of myself a little better.
He's a multifaceted threat now, okay? So, Damian, I'm going to start with you, okay? Should the Bills be the favorites in the NFC now?
Did they lose? Didn't they? Last time I saw the Bills, didn't they lose to Tennessee Titans? Dan, why are you shaking your head right now?
No,
why you
don't
shaking
do
right?
this to yourself.
I mean, the last time I saw King Henry just taking it to the Buffalo Bills down in Nashville. Look. Here's the thing about the AFC right now. I don't think anyone can make any type of determination who's the favorite right now. The one thing we see is there's a lot of parity going on in the AFC. One week we're lauding Baltimore. Okay, then Cincinnati goes into Baltimore and smacks them all over the place. We talk about the Chargers one week. We talked about the Las Vegas Raiders. So as it relates to the Buffalo Bills, here's what I will say about Buffalo. Okay, they play in the AFC East. The AFC East right now. There's no one really to challenge that's going to really challenge the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East. I know Dan wants to. I know he's going to bring up New England. They got a big test against the Los Angeles Chargers this week. But Dan, come on, let's be real with the defense that Buffalo has and Josh Allen at quarterback. I'm not ready to sit here and anoint the Buffalo Bills as the best team in the AFC right now. For me, right now, I'm looking at the Las Vegas Raiders and Derek Carr and the way Derek Carr has been playing. Tell me a quarterback that's been playing better than Derek Carr right now. Derek Carr, I think, has been underrated in how people been talking about Derek Carr. I don't hear you talking about Derek Carr like that. You don't give Derek Carr nearly the love that he deserves right now. With the Las Vegas Raiders, I peep you out. Okay, so
I give nothing but love to Derek Carr. I've been giving love to Derek Carr.
I'm just being real here.
So what's your answer? What's your answer?
I just told you Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going with Las Vegas Raiders.
They're the team to beat in the AFC?
I'm going with Las Vegas Raiders right now. With what I'm seeing so far, I love the way Derek Carr is playing the game of football. He is playing the game of football from the neck up right now, as good as any quarterback in pro football. Love the way he's playing.
All right, if you had to give me one team that I thought was the biggest threat to the Buffalo Bills, it would be the Raiders. I said that on Monday. I agree that there's a lot of really good teams in the AFC. I think there's 9 teams that are playoff football teams. The team to beat in the AFC is unquestionably the Buffalo Bills. No team has been more dominant than the Buffalo Bills. I remain adamant that I think the Bills are the best team in football. They're 2 snaps. They are 2 snaps away from being 7-0. A blocked punt week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and essentially a slip against the Tennessee Titans on a quarterback sneak. If they get that quarterback sneak in,
better than that, Dan,
I'm giving you reasons why. I'm giving you reasons and information of how in proving how close they are to being an undefeated in the turnover takeaway issue. That is domination. They get the ball and they don't give the football away. They've ran 75 more plays than the teams that they've played against. They've dominated football games.
I mean, when you're playing against the Miami Dolphins and the Houston Texans, you can run up those type of margins. I mean,
they beat up on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Look at the Chiefs right now. They're a mess right now.
They're
a mess right now. So, I mean, you talking about, you bringing up all these stats about the Buffalo Bills right now. Hell, when you beating up against, the teams like I talked about, the Houston Texans, the Miami Dolphins, the Kansas City Chiefs who can't get out of their own way, their stats are going to look like that.
What's the weakness of the Buffalo Bills? Yes, Razik. I'm sorry, what's up?
No, I want to put you on a hot seat right now because you've been trying to ask all the hard-hitting questions to Damian. I'm going to put you on a hot seat here because you spoke big words. You feel like, the Bills are the best team in the AFC. Do you think, I'll take it a step further, are you willing to say you think they can win a Super Bowl this year?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I felt this going into the season that Buffalo was the team that could derail Kansas City and go represent the AFC. We know Kansas City's having their issues. I don't find a weakness with the Buffalo Bills. I think they're incredibly well coached. I think their quarterback is good as anybody in football right now at creating plays, going above the X's and O's. Their offensive line is really good. Their play caller, Brian Dable's fantastic. They've added a run game to their offense. They got pieces on the outside. Stephon Diggs isn't even balling as much as he did last year. I think the youth of their defensive line is fantastic. They got as good of a linebacker core as anybody in football, and they can play coverage. They don't have a weakness as a football team. I can point to teams in the AFC that have weaknesses. We know Kansas City has an issue. The Las Vegas Raiders, coverage. If their front four does not get home, you can get after their coverage. The Bengals offensive line still is an issue that Joe Burrow covers up in. New England, we'll see how good their defense is and if they can get explosive on offense. The Titans are completely dependent on the health of those two wide receivers. If either of those guys misses time, they are significantly less offense. The Los Angeles Chargers cannot stop the run to save their lives. Who else you want me to go after?
You just gonna go through the whole league right now? Is that what we're doing?
I'll go through the whole AFC because
we're gonna go through the whole league right now.
Give me the weakness of the Buffalo Bills. Give me the weakness. Give me the weakness.
Let me see who they playing. Listen, I told you, they beating up on teams that ain't doing anything right now, Dan.
What is this? College football playoff? You're trying to give me like a strength of schedule?
Yeah, I'm just beating up on teams. You seen the Miami Dolphins play? You seen the Houston Texans play? Like they beating up on those bottom feeders right now. That's what the deal is. Beating up on bottom feeders.
So the
what
team
happened against Tennessee Titans?
So the Titans are a good football team. If Julio Jones and A.J. Brown can't stay healthy or don't stay healthy, their offense loses to the Jets, like you saw, okay? So they are incredibly dependent on the health of those guys. The Cleveland Browns got to get healthy, and their defense is not very good. If you're going to the team that went to the AFC title game last year, the Buffalo Bills, has only brought that team back, but more talented, along with that coaching staff. And you're going to sit here and tell me that you don't know about them because of the teams that they've played? The body of work over 2 years tells you that this is a fantastic football team. You think that the weakness of them is the opponents that they've played. I gave you literal weaknesses of other football teams in the conference. You can't give me one when it comes to the Buffalo Bills. You cannot find a weakness of that football team that you think everybody else in that conference can exploit. They are the team to beat. As we sit here 7 weeks into this season, the Buffalo Bills are the team to beat in the AFC.
Now, I think it's interesting, both of you guys pointed at the Raiders as a team.
Good team.
That, could
They're
be a threat.
team.
Could be a threat
Roz,
to the
there's
Bills.
9
so
teams
could
in
the
the
Raiders
AFC.
They're a good team.
How far could the Raiders go?
Yes.
The Raiders could come out of the AFC. The Raiders could come out of the AFC. And I think there's a couple things with the Raiders. Number one, Derek Carr is just playing out of his skull right now. Again, I just feel like there's a lot of he's one guy that in the national media not enough people are talking about him. He has taken his game to another level. And then on the defensive side of the football, they are getting after the quarterback. Max Crosby and Njigba, those two guys, those pass rushers, they are getting after the quarterback. So when you talk about, okay, what's the recipe for playing, pretty good football? Quarterback playing at an elite level, and then you got guys on the other side of football that can get after the opposing team's quarterback. And that's what the Raiders have right now.
I agree with the Raiders. I don't think there's anybody in the NFL right now more explosive on offense. And that's not what we correlate with Derek Carr. They are creating explosive plays at kind of an alarming rate. I don't think you could play zone against them because Derek's playing so fast. I don't think you could play man against them because those tight ends are so special.
They got speed. They got a lot of speed.
But here's my thing. I can point to a weakness of that football team. If you figure out a way, good coaching staffs do, to chip Ngakoue and Max Crosby and give you a little bit of time, when you're playing against that cover 3 defense, you can have success as a quarterback. Again, if I look, Roz, there's 9 teams, 9 that legit are bona fide playoff football teams. The AFC is so much more, has so much more depth than the NFC. But the team that sits at the top that is the best, the team to go beat is the Buffalo Bills. The Ravens, I don't know if they can sustain the way Lamar's playing. They're so dependent on him. I think they got issues on defense. I'll throw another team into the conversation. The Indianapolis Colts have another huge game on Sunday against your Tennessee Titans, Wood.
How did I know you were going to bring up the Indianapolis Colts?
Bro,
your
they're
man.
real.
I know. Your boy Carson. I know he was coming into the conversation.
I didn't even bring Carson Wentz up. I think their defense is fantastic and Jonathan Taylor's good. But the team, if I had to pick one team, which I do in this segment, to go beat or is the team to beat in the AFC, I don't even think it's close right now. I think it's the Buffalo Bills.
Roz, I got to be honest with you. My preseason pick out of the AFC is the Buffalo Bills.
Ooh.
Man, I'll tell you what, bro. I'll tell you what. You're a piece of work. You're a piece of work, man.
Hey, I just wanted to work you up, man. I wanted to work you up a little bit.
Just wind it up just a little bit.
Wind you up, baby.
Now, just real quick, Dan, though, is your pick for Super Bowl, like, I know we did it for this segment, but are you saying the Bills are your pick for to be Super Bowl champs?
I think my pick to be Super Bowl champs is a healthy Tampa Bay with their secondary. My pick in the Super Bowl would be Tampa Bay, Buffalo Bill right now. Buffalo Bills.
And
Yes.
Woody?
I picked Buffalo. I picked Buffalo in the
Come
AFC.
on, bro.
Man, I picked the San Francisco 49ers before the season. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's bad.
All right,
It's
guys.
bad.
We're going to put a pin in this conversation here and take a break. We'll be back, though, okay? So don't go nowhere.
Okay.
Still to come on First Take. We know he's short on weapons.
I'm ready to go.
We're taking the house right now. The victims roll on through. You want some more? Just roll on through. Come get some more. I'm not scared of Tim Tebow. I'm not scared of Michael Irvin or Keyshawn. Something must be wrong.
You were wrong.
What?
You were wrong.
What?
Come on.
I'm taking Dak Prescott. Oh my God. Stephen A.
Wearing a crimson tie.
Oh,
Stephen A.
what? You done lost your mind. You hear me with the mouth and not with the ear. Listen with the ear, not with the mouth.
I think you're getting nervous.
Roll on through. You want some more? Just roll on through. Come get some more. We're taking the house. An accident coming. I see it coming. All y'all have started something.
Wow. Well, that was certainly
Well
something
done.
else.
That was well done.
That was incredible. I feel
Yeah.
like we got to like do a TikTok dance to that or something. Like that's the next wave. Y'all, Tim, you on TikTok?
No.
No. Okay. We got
You will not see me on TikTok.
We gotta
We got to get you on there, man.
Right, yeah, all right, we'll talk.
All right. Well, we have some basketball breakdowns on Snapchat and TikTok with Tim Legler here. Jay Williams joins me here. We're going to get into some Lakers talk because the Lakers caught a rough look last night as they coughed up a 26-point lead and took an L to the youngest team in the league in the OKC Thunder, who came into that game with an 0-4 record. Now, the Lakers were without LeBron James, but with 4 other future Hall of Famers and proven veterans on the roster, the inability to close this game out was eyebrow-raising, to say the least. So, in addition to all of this, Russell Westbrook, he notched a pseudo quadruple-double with 10 turnovers. Not done yet. He was also ejected at the very end of the game with frustrations visibly mounting. So, Tim and Jay, what do you make of all of this? What did we learn about the Lakers in this loss?
So I'm not going to sit up here and be a person, legs, that goes, the Lakers are done. Like, that's not, we both look at basketball throughout the entire lens of how the game is being played. But I've had some conversations over the last several days with some younger players in the league, which is kind of shocking to me because I never heard people say this about a LeBron James team, where they don't find the Lakers intimidating at all. People are actually excited about playing this team. And then when you actually start, I was at the Nets game last night, but I came back home and I'm actually watching the Lakers game for a minute. I'm like, man, like seeing how they defend, seeing how they play, the lack of urgency, like that last minute and a half of the game, that was almost embarrassing to watch how they actually tried to execute some things. And I think that's more revealing to me than anything. Now, granted, LeBron James hasn't played, but if that's Cameron Payne talking trash to him, I think there's a level of players looking at them and saying, we don't really respect the Lakers. Even though they got a championship, this team is older. They don't play with a sense of urgency. And yeah, they could turn on here and there, but maybe they won't. And maybe a team like OKC, the youngest team in the league last night, beats them at home and they're having fun on the basketball court. Like, I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Having fun, like smiling, young players smiling, playing against the Lakers. That's shocking to me.
And I can see why, because you think, as a player, and Jay, I know you'd agree with this, like what makes you uncomfortable is pressure, people in your face dictating to you where you can go on the court, physicality. There's none of that with the Lakers. So when you play them, you feel like we can run what we want. Everybody's going to get numbers tonight. So that speaks to your point of why teams aren't afraid of them. But what I saw last night, at the end of that game, okay, they're down 3 different times. Now, I don't have as much of a problem with Carmelo's shot because now it's deep into the game. You don't have much time. And that was probably the worst inbounds pass maybe in the history of basketball. A bullet 25-footer from out of bounds right to Carmelo Anthony's pocket. He just didn't execute the shot. But those other 2, those were both out of timeouts, down 3 with a ton of time on the clock. And you chose out of a timeout to go to a Russell Westbrook pull-up 3 followed by a Malik Monk pull up three. With all the time in the world to execute, get to the rim, cut it to one, play the foul game, extend the game, what you normally do. But I think the league is so obsessed with the three-point shot that now the mentality is that you have to get a three to tie it with all that time on the clock. And what it showed me was lack of poise. It showed not a very high basketball IQ. Now, LeBron wasn't out there, and obviously that elevates your IQ collectively. IQ was terrible. They added a bunch of veteran guys, Jay, to what you just said, that I think were brought in for the postseason. Therefore, the regular season is just not going to be prioritized. Now, the problem with that is last year you would think they would have learned their lesson. They had some injuries, but they also preserved guys. And they thought, man, we can come out of the 7-hole. We got AD and LeBron. You're not doing that in the Western Conference. So all that talk about as long as they're healthy on April 15th, it doesn't matter where they're at, I disagree with. You're not going on the road in this Western Conference and winning 3 straight series, because in one of those series, you're going to lose the first 2 road games, and you're not going to win 4 out of 5. So I think the mentality around regular season doesn't matter. We blew a 26-point lead to the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are a bottom feeder in this league. To me, that's concerning. Just the overall mentality of this roster and the way that they played down the stretch of that game. They did not get smarter in the offseason. And you saw it last night, and that's one of the worst losses we've seen in the league this year.
I'll just say one last thing. So when Darius Baisley steals the ball at the end, and they're down 5, which is I don't care what anybody says, man. 4 or 5 seconds left. It's a legitimate basketball play. Could he have pulled it out? Sure. But I think that was a very big sign. Russell Westbrook being pissed off by that.
Yeah.
Being angered by that, getting ejected by that. That's how teams view them, right? Like, oh, I can steal the ball. Let me go ahead and flush it real quick. Because that's how they feel when they play against the Lakers.
Yeah.
They feel like, oh, we can do these type of things. And I like that Russell was like, no, that's not the right way you do it.
You liked Russell Westbrook's response there, that he got upset at the end of the game.
I need to see a pulse from this team. Like, I know we're at the beginning stages of the season, but I want to see a pulse psychologically that we are going to fight. And sometimes I feel when LeBron James is not on the court, there's a lot of questions around what this team does offensively. And one of the key losses that nobody talks about, Legs, when you lose Jason Kidd to the Dallas Mavericks, all the conversations I would hear from the Lakers camp about conversations between LeBron James and Jason Kidd, how they felt like they were on the same wavelength offensively with how they would scheme for different things. Now you have to make a bet on LeBron James and Russell Westbrook figuring that out, because Frank Vogel is known for being more of a defensive-minded coach, which opens up a whole other conversation, because defensively, they're not good. They're ranked 25th defensively in the league right now. So this is going to put a lot of pressure on Frank Vogel from a coaching perspective.
And you look at the Lakers' wins already so far. I mean, even against the Spurs, it took them to overtime. Or you look against the Grizzlies, it took some missed free throws from Ja to kind of get them out of that game or get them a chance to get the win. And you talk about needing to see a pulse. Russ gets a tech, or it's Dwight Howard and AD. Certainly there's some kind of emotion being shown, but I think to the word you used earlier, it's not joyful. No. It's not fun. Yeah. There's emotion, there's a pulse, but it's like, it's not fun yet for these veteran guys. And for me, Legs, I feel what was most disappointing was they couldn't stop the bleeding in letting go of a 26-point lead. And you've got all these veteran guys. It's exactly the type of group you would think shouldn't make that kind of mistake or should know how to close out a game. So at what point this season, are you willing to say, I'm starting to feel concerned? Right now we're like, it's early, they're veteran. What point would you be concerned with these types of things mounting?
We're 25 games in. We're still talking about this kind of stuff. Blowing leads, not beating teams that you clearly have to beat, particularly a team that's going to win probably 20 to 25 games in the Thunder. That's what they're going to do this year. To not be able to close that deal after getting that big lead. If this is still going on, 15, 20 games from now, and they still haven't worked out the dynamic between Russell Westbrook and LeBron, because I still think that is going to take a lot of time to figure out. How does Frank Vogel stagger their minutes enough so that Russell Westbrook can stay true to himself, who he is as a player, and impact the game the way he's used to? Now, obviously, you're going to have to close the game with both guys. So that's a whole nother issue. One possession games, last 5 minutes. What's Russell Westbrook's role offensively? That's going to come. But in the meantime, what about the first 42 minutes? You've got to figure out how to stagger that. So this, to me, major work in progress. I'm not even remotely close to saying, oh, man, was I wrong about the Lakers? We're not there yet. Every team in this league right now is a work in progress, except, I think, Milwaukee. I think that's the closest thing to we know what they are. Everybody else is trying to figure all these things out. The Lakers at the top of the list.
Frank Vogel certainly has his hands full. All right, let's take it from the Lakers and go to the East Coast and take a look at the Nets. You were at the game, Jay Will, last night. Nets lost to the Heat at home 106-93. And while Kyrie Irving is still not with the team for lack of COVID vaccine, there's something else missing for the Nets. The high-level productivity we are used to from one of the most prolific scorers and passers ever in James Harden. Through 5 games, Harden is averaging 3 free throw attempts per game and just 16.6 points per game, way down from his career averages of 8.7 free throw attempts and 25 points per game.
Confident, being aggressive, and it's getting better every single game. Like, as much as I want to get back to just 30s and 40 points, you know what I mean? It's like I can't do that. You know what I mean? As much as I want to, obviously would love to. I had no opportunities to play pickup or nothing this summer. You know what I mean? Everything was a rehab for 3 months from a grade 2 injury that happened three times in one season. So I just embraced moments like this and things like this, and I just keep pushing through it.
And James still coming back from that hamstring injury, and he tallied just 14 points in the game, his 3rd straight game, scoring 15 or fewer points. Dating back to last season, he's made fewer than 5 free throws in 8 consecutive games while averaging just over 16 points per game. Harden himself has said his offensive game is limited right now as he continues to make his way back from offseason spent rehabbing his hamstring injury. And also there's been some officiating changes as well. In addition to his health, this offseason, the NBA made rule changes to discourage the calling of fouls for unnatural offensive movements, a change that some are saying could also be directly affecting Harden's style of play, as he's very good at drawing that foul. So, guys, Jay, Will, I'll start with you. What's the bigger issue for the Nets, in your opinion? Is it that Kyrie Irving's out, or is it more that this is not the James Harden we're used to?
It's the latter.
Yeah.
You got 2 top 5 players on the same damn team. 2 of the most prolific scorers in the history of basketball on the same team. Sitting there watching the game last night, one of the things that I got frustrated about, and I get it, he's a hooper, right? So for James, hooping every single day is what he does. When you can't do that for an extended period of time, it takes you a second to find your rhythm back. But that's not the key thing. I'm not worried about that. He'll find his rhythm. Every play, Roz, legs, every play, I'm telling you, watching this game, there was him playing for the contact, not playing through the contact. It's not good enough. James Harden is a bully when he plays basketball. He needs to find a way, and I don't know how many games it's going to take him to do this, but there were so many times I'm watching him look at the ref. I'm like, don't look at the ref. Bully through contact. You weigh 220 pounds. You can move in ways other people can't move. Now, Miami is one of the top defensive teams in the league. And I also think that Eric Spoelstra outcoached Steve Nash. That's a whole other conversation that we'll need to get into for Kevin Durant and James Harden down the stretch with how Steve Nash handles his rotations. But it was him not bullying through contact, legs, him looking at the refs every single time. And I will say this, the chemistry between him and certain players are so off. LaMarcus Aldridge, every time they're involved in a pick and roll, they can't feel each other out. You know, he has better chemistry with Nick Claxton. Maybe consider they played together last year, but like that just feels off. And James needs to find that, legs. If he can't find that, it's going to be a problem for the Nets. Yeah. And for James Harden.
Yeah, I talked about, teams being a work in progress. Nothing can be evaluated with the Nets until Kyrie Irving's situation is resolved. We all know that. We need to see those 3 guys together healthy for an extended period of time before we really know what that is, because we didn't see it last year either, okay? So that's first. As far as James Harden, two issues going on with him. And he let us in his psyche a little bit last night after the game. And I went through it, having an ACL reconstruction, having an also partially ruptured hamstring training camp. When you deal with that and you recover from it, and you're a guy as explosive as he is, and he's telling you, I'm reluctant to go full throttle because I don't ever want to experience that again, that's part of this right now. He just doesn't have the decisiveness offensively. He let you into his mind last night a little bit, and I think he was honest about it, and he's going through it, and that will get better. But the officiating and the way that they've changed it, there is no question it's affecting him. And even Steve Nash said early on, he thinks he's being unfairly targeted as the poster child for this rule change, in that he's also not getting calls on drives because they've just made up their mind, like, you're not getting calls. Now, I don't agree with it necessarily, but I think it is affecting James Harden in a way that he's got to focus on finishing the play when before all he was thinking about was, I know I'm about to get these free throws.
Exactly.
Jay, Will, do you think that James Harden can adjust to these new rules?
He better adjust.
Yeah, he will.
He's going to have to adjust.
He will.
I mean, but he has the body type that he doesn't need to do that. Like, if there was an example last night. Defender had his arm out, and I saw it, right? Like, KD would catch the ball, reverse pivot, turn, jab, go. James went right to it. He extended his arms, went right into the. I'm like, no, James, you don't need to play that way anymore.
Yeah, right.
Put your shoulder in somebody's damn chest and punish him at the rim. But the fact that he's still programmed that way, that takes a minute to recalibrate. But he's going to have to do it. He's going to have to do it.
Absolutely. Well, the Nets season is certainly hanging with his ability to get it together.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. Still to come on First Take, the latest on Zion's. Welcome back to First Take, and we're very pleased to have Marcus Spears joining the show. Marcus, you look a little bit different than the Marcus I saw blow up on social last night. Wait a second.
I think I did a good job, and I've been working on my Marcus Spears impression, and I feel like I really got it down. Because the one thing you're not gonna do is tell me that I don't do my job and I don't sell out. Because if you give me something to do, I'm gonna put my best foot forward, and that's just that.
What do you do when the box is light?
When the box is light, you run the football. And I don't know why the Kansas City Chiefs don't understand that. I don't know why LSU don't understand that either.
Oh my God, man.
That is awesome.
Y'all play
Marcus.
too much around here.
So
Y'all play too much around here.
That's the little sis right there.
Good.
That's ESPN analyst, reporter, Andrea Carter. She said she wants to be Lil Swagoo. Does she have that blessing?
She got the blessing because she hit the imitation. Imitation is flattery, so I appreciate the love, Andrea. She hit me up before that and was like, "Yo, you cool with me doing this?" And I had no idea what was gonna happen, but she nailed it, and she had the fire line on her beard. So much love, Lil Swagoo.
Yo, when she said when the box is light, you run the ball, and I don't understand why Kansas City doesn't do that. I lost it.
Jeez, that's an epic Halloween costume. Drea Carter, Lil Swagoo. We got Big Swagoo here. Dan, you want to be medium Swagoo today?
No. I'm not a Swagoo guy. Not a Swagoo guy. We're enemies.
He don't like seasoning, Ross.
Yeah.
He don't like seasoning on his food. He can't be Swagoo.
Very simple eater.
Okay, no Swagoo
Plain
for you.
chicken.
All right, I'll take all the
beef
Swagoo
season
from here.
waits for nobody, Ross.
Let's talk about some football, y'all. Great job, Drea Carter. We love it. All right, Thursday Night Football tonight features that bad man, Aaron Rodgers, and his Green Bay Packers traveling to the desert to face Kyler Murray and the undefeated Arizona Cardinals. Now, we already knew the Packers would potentially be without Davante Adams for this game after he was placed on the reserve COVID list earlier this week. Now, we have the news out of Arizona that J.J. Watt will be having season-ending shoulder surgery, so both teams will be without key pieces for this game. So, Marcus, since you just joined us, I'll start with you. Which of the two is the bigger loss, J.J. Watt or Davante Adams?
Davante, and in this particular game for sure, because Kyler Murray and that offense is going to put pressure on Aaron Rodgers and that offense to score points. And obviously we know what the situation is with Lazard, but that's not even in the equation. I'm talking about when Aaron breaks pocket, when he needs a guy for a for sure play, Kyler Murray will have DeAndre Hopkins. Aaron Rodgers won't have Davante Adams. And I see this game playing out in a way where J.J. Watt effectiveness would have been more so in the pass rush than in the run game, because Green Bay is doing a phenomenal job of spreading people out and creating runs and creating space for Aaron Jones. But Davante Adams in this game, where you got another high-powered offense staring you down the barrel on the other side of the line of scrimmage, it is going to be a problem because points will be at a premium. And we ain't gonna act like Green Bay defense is world beaters. They are going to give up a large amount of points tonight against the Arizona Cardinals. So I just think not having your weapons, so if you have to go toe-to-toe, blow for blow with this offense with Kyler Murray, and not having your main guy is the bigger issue than losing J.J. Watt.
Man, in the first hour, I had to deal with Woody, an ex-offensive lineman, going with the receiver, and now I got to deal with you, an ex-defensive lineman,
you ain't saying
going with the
J.J. Watt.
receiver. Yes, J.J. Watt. He's the best player on the best defense in football. The Cardinals have the best defense in football. He's the best player. No one on their defense has created more pass rushes to the quarterback than J.J. Watt. He's created 11 incompletions. How do you think that he's not going to be a huge loss? We talked about this on NFL Live yesterday as well, that the thing that they do, the weakness of this defense is stopping the run on first down when me as an offense put two tight ends on the field. So now the best player on their defense, not only in the pass rush game, but in the run stopping game, is out, and you're going against a team that unequivocally and unapologetically will run the football, and you don't think that's a big loss? The Packers over the last 2 or 3 seasons are 6-0.
It ain't got nothing to do with being a big loss.
Bro, the Packers without Devontae,
but
the Packers without Devontae Adams over the last couple of seasons are 6-0. They're 6-0 without him. They scored 33 points a game without him.
Let me tell you something. I'm sick of people saying that, okay? I'm sick of people saying that. They played the Dallas Cowboys, whose defense is trash, okay, last year in 2019. They played the Kansas City Chiefs without Patrick Mahomes. Let's put some context to when we start talking about 6-0.
They scored 33 a game. All right, so we'll take the win-loss without
And
it.
Alan Lazard was there. Lazard was there, wasn't he?
Right.
Didn't he step up in a major way?
Yes.
When they were out? But
Yes.
let's go to Devontae Adams, Dan. It has nothing to do with the point that the J.J. Watt is out of the game. It has everything to do with the way the Cardinals put points on the board. So if J.J. Watt is removed, you think this defense is going to give up 15 more points because J.J. Watt is not there?
No, but I think the game is going to be way more connected. I think as an offense, I can now even more so attack the thing that you don't do well. Going back to the fact that this defense, if you get into second and obvious pass situations and third down obvious pass situations, you have no shot with the crazy blitzes that they bring and all their exotic coverages. But again, looking at this football game, if I'm Matt LaFleur and Nathaniel Hackett, the offensive coordinator for the Packers, I'm going, you're going to get a heavy dose of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. I'm doing if I get a late box, run the football.
Sure.
So now they lost their best player to defend the run.
Are you not factoring in the equation that offense in Arizona is as explosive as anybody's in the NFL?
I agree with that, yes.
So I've sat on stage with you for now 3 years, and I've heard you tell me about quarterback passing game and how you make up for it and how Ryan Tannehill is the key cog to the Tennessee Titans in the passing game off of what they do. They a pass first team, and you got Kyler Murray with all of those weapons for the Arizona Cardinals, and you think the Packers going to stay in the game by running the football with that defense?
I think they changed the game by running the football. I think they slow the game down by running the football. I think they minimize. I think this is a little bit of an old. And you know me, I don't believe in run the ball on first down. I believe be aggressive. So I believe this is a little bit more of an old school game where you try to minimize the possessions that Kyler Murray gets against your defense because you don't have the ability to slow down or really minimize their ability to play offense Arizona-wise. So again, if I'm looking at this football game and the way the Packers can win it, I think that Robert Tonyan can step up, and Aaron Jones as a pass catcher like you talked about yesterday can step up, and Randall Cobb can play good, and Amari Rodgers can play well. I think those guys can get touches in this football game. And I said, I believe that they have enough pieces within the game to get the game to the fourth quarter. I don't know if they've got a guy that's going to win the game like Devontae has become this year for the Packers, but they got enough pieces within the game. And again, the fact that your best player is out, I look at it as a huge advantage for my offense.
Now, fellas, eventually, though, players will return from COVID protocol and procedures. So let's imagine, Marcus, I'll start with you, that, the Packers are fully healthy. They got their wide receivers back. Does Aaron Rodgers have enough weapons around him to reach the Super Bowl, Marcus?
I don't believe so, because for what I'm seeing happening right now between Arizona and Tampa, they have just as many weapons and they have more continuity. And they don't lean heavily on one guy as much as Aaron Rodgers does. I mean, we talking about Devontae Adams in this particular game, but we also got to keep in context about Devontae Adams the rest of the season. That is going to be the guy. But when I start thinking about Tom Brady with Antonio Brown and Mike Evans and Godwin and O.J. Howard and Leonard Fournette and all of these guys who haven't been in a constant rotation, and they still almost putting up 30, 40 points a game. When I think about the Arizona Cardinals, what I just just talked about with Kyler Murray and the weapons at his disposal. I look at Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, and we all know, let's not fake each other on television. We all know that we only feel like this about the Green Bay Packers because of Aaron Rodgers. Because when you look at the rest of this talent outside of Devontae Adams, it's not close to what these other teams in the NFC have after their number one wide receiver. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers got 3 number one wide receivers on their roster. 3 of them. So if one don't play, it's fine. We'll just make up for the other one. We'll throw 3 touchdowns to Mike Evans this week because Antonio Brown not playing. 2 weeks ago, we'll throw 3 touchdowns to Antonio Brown because Mike Evans is not, it's not a Mike Evans game. We'll throw it to Godwin because that's the matchup that we can find. So it's not about Green Bay not having enough weapons. We saw them in the NFC Championship. It's just when you get to that point, the teams you playing, when you stare at them on the opposite side of the sideline, they have more. And they have a quarterback that you absolutely knows that if he has the opportunity to win the game in Tom Brady to close it out, it will be closed out as we saw last year. So look, Green Bay is a good football team. Green Bay is a solid football team. I don't think Green Bay, coupled offensively and defensively, have the team to be elite. I've seen Tampa hit elite. And when Tampa hits elite, it's really not close to anybody else in the league. So it's about health. It's about Tampa secondary getting better. But from an offensive standpoint, when you got to go through the first 3 guys to get to a number 2 receiver on any other roster in the NFL, I do not believe Aaron Rodgers has enough weapons.
I think he has enough weapons on offense. I don't think he has enough weapons as a Green Bay Packer. You know, their offense is good enough to go win a Super Bowl, unquestionably. But your points to the Tampa Bay defense or the Rams defense or the Cardinals defense is a big deal. And I said this a couple weeks ago. The difference between the Cardinals defense, the Rams defense, the Cowboys defense, and the Buccaneers defense in comparison to the Packers, especially with Jair Alexander out there, they're one of the 2 or 3 best corners in football. They don't really have a guy. The Rams got 2 guys. It's the reason they won the game against the Lions last week. The Buccaneers got like 3 or 4 guys on their defense with Sue and Shaq Barrett and those linebackers. We'll see if they get healthy in the secondary. The Cowboys are starting to get a guy with Diggs, and DeMarcus Lawrence isn't even playing. So I think offensively, especially when they get Bakhtiari back, they have enough to be a Super Bowl caliber offense. But unless Rashawn Gary hits the absolute gas pedal as a defensive player, or Campbell, their linebacker that's playing well, or Kenny Clark starts, the Packers just don't have enough on the defensive side of the football to say they're a Super Bowl caliber football team. They are offensively, just not as a team.
All right, guys, we're going to put a pin in this one. Marcus, great to see you. Dan, thank you. It's year 3 for the 2019 number 1 draft pick Zion Williamson, who has still yet to taste the playoffs with the Pelicans, and so far this season has yet to grace the court as he recovers from right foot surgery. Last night, our own Cassidy Hubbarth reported that Zion will get scans on his foot by the end of this week, and currently he is not yet cleared to play. No explosive work. He's only working solo, 1 on none, and running only in straight lines. Now, while Zion has missed a bunch of games in his career with lower body injuries, let's not lose sight of the fact that when Zion has actually played, he's certainly been box office much-watched player whose production has definitely met the hype. Now, injuries, they aren't new for Zion, as he's dealt with more than his share over his first 3 seasons despite being sidelined with a fractured right foot. Zion has been a force when healthy, averaging just shy of 26 points per game to go along with 7 rebounds, still just 21 years old, and he's played in 57% of the Pelicans games since turning pro after 1 season at Duke. Y'all, it makes me so happy.
Hi, doll.
Hey, girl.
I know we're supposed to look at our camera. But
Hi, girl. How you doing? How you doing, sis? So good to see you, sis. You looking like a vision right now.
Thank you, darling. Thank you.
The colors of everything.
I'm glad to see you.
Oh, thank you.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll talk about that later.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is a moment. Marcus, we're happy to see you as well.
Damn, I was about to say, damn, what's up, Mark? Can I get a hello? No, I'm just playing. That's how I love seeing you black, beautiful queens embrace each other like that, man.
Oh, thank you.
It's from the bottom of our hearts, for real.
Mm-hmm. For real. So I'm going to start with you, Monica. Okay. So I gave you all that information.
Here we go.
Right, bring it on. All right. So I gave you all that information about Zion and his injuries versus his productivity. Given all of that, do you think Zion can still be the face of the NBA?
Roz Spears, it is an absolute uphill climb at this point for Zion Williamson. It is incredibly difficult to be the face of something when you're on the bench. I mean, and I think, Spears, here's my issue. This injury, if it's a foot, it's a lower leg extremity. Zion is a guy who we've already acknowledged, because of his power, which comes from his build, he's going to have to be very particular and monitor closely his body weight. And so for me, a foot injury is something that is going to linger with him, in addition to needing to be mindful of his diet and how he's eating. The beautiful thing about this is that he has plenty of coins in his bank account, and he could put a group of people around him, from a chef, nutritionist, additional folks. I think he has to level up a little bit in his mindset as an NBA player still, in that the 4 hours or however long it is that you are on the court in terms of practice cannot be it. I'm looking for him to make a total commitment to his body, his health, and being in the best shape possible in order to be the face of the league. Because right now, I mean, he's quite honestly being lapped by his classmate, and that would be my guy in Ja Morant.
Yeah. Oh my God, I got to come on here and fight for the big fellas. But man, you're right. All right, let me say that first. You're right.
Okay.
But the question is, can Zion still become the face of the NBA? Absolutely. And the most important part is when Ross said he's 21 years old. I'm 100% with you about making the commitment to his body. But I like how we open this up, because me and Perk talked about this on our podcast. Oh, by the way, Roz and Monica, me and Perk got a podcast, Swagoo and Perk podcast. Y'all go subscribe to that. Okay, it's fire out here. We fire out here in these streets. Okay, thanks. But here's the thing, all right, and this is what you have to like. I wonder if people Zion is a big dude. That's the bottom line. He's a big dude. Now it's about finding, to your point, the weight in which he's optimal, because we can't visual Zion and say, oh, he needs to be this. He needs to be this stature. They need to find his optimal weight in which he can perform and stay away from these injuries. The meniscus a year ago is the one that bothered me, because I suffered one, and that is the injury that you have to take weight off. That is the injury that, from his explosive nature, that you want to take weight off. But let me get to the point about the face of the league. I love Ja Morant. Don't get it twisted. I think Ja Morant is more of what we see, what I see as a young Allen Iverson more than anybody else in the league. When you talk about how he approaches the game, his build, and how he's explosive and not afraid to go to the cup and do whatever he's trying to do. But when we start thinking about Zion, y'all, let's not forget what this dude was doing. Last year, his rookie year, when he came in, people said he couldn't shoot. He started knocking down threes. They transitioned him to a point forward at times last year for the Pelicans, Monica, and he ran it and was very successful. We know about the ability to jump, the explosiveness. There is nothing better to watch. And listen, this is transition from LeBron. All right, let me caveat that by saying this. It's nothing better to watch from an entertainment, excitement standpoint in a basketball game than Zion Williams when he's playing. Because at any moment, the rim may come off the backboard. Somebody may get posterized. He handles the ball with a guard mentality when he's outside playing, and he gets teammates involved. So the question being, can Zion still become the face of the NBA? And I understand your apprehension because of health, but I'm here to tell y'all yes, but he has a lot to do. But there is nothing more exciting than when Zion Williams is playing basketball, because at any moment we like, oh, it's about to go down.
Okay, so here's my one pushback. Perk / Spears / what's the podcast name? Spears and Swagoo. Make sure y'all check that out.
Swagoo and Perk.
Swagoo and Perk. Here's my one pushback. I do think that we are in a interesting place in the league where it's going to require a certain skill set from our bigs, right? Your traditional 4s and 5s, to be the face. Because when I think of Zion, the person to me that is going to be the impediment to him becoming the face of the league at that position is Giannis, right? In terms of those guys probably strike being, I mean, this is like a 5-year difference between them, but they will probably be the two that we have the opportunity to look at when LeBron and some of those guys start to head into the sunset, right? So I just think he is a little bit too reliant consistently on the play of a guard as a playmaker? Because we have not seen a large enough sample size, Spears, of him doing the things that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So I am just wondering how sustainable that is.
Guys, let me retool the question here real quick. So what if we have to reimagine our understanding of what a successful season would look like for Zion because he has such a unique body? Like, what if in the future, when you figure out what the right weight for him to play is, maybe it won't be a full season is the right thing for Zion. Maybe we have to get used to him playing 2/3 of the season or a load managed season every year of his career to maximize the best of him. If that were the case, because he is such a unique body, could he be the face of the league without playing a full season every year?
Ooh, Roz.
Nope.
I don't
He
like
could
that.
not. He
I
couldn't.
don't like it.
Like, think about this, Roz. That question you just asked, right? And think about a year or two ago when we was having this conversation about Kawhi Leonard.
Yep.
And Kawhi was balling. We had people talking about Kawhi, the best player in the NBA. Max said it on this show a year ago. But people were in that same vein. I'm a LeBron guy. Let me just get that out there. I think LeBron the face of the league till he leave. Okay? But the bottom line is your availability, and Perk talked about this too. Your availability now is becoming so prominent in the NBA to where night in and night out, if you're gonna carry the torch, if you're gonna be the next guy that LeBron passes it to, you're gonna have to play games, and a lot of them. Because the one thing we constantly talked about, not only with MJ, not only with Kobe, when you showed up to the stadium, they were playing. They were going to play. It didn't matter what their record was. It didn't matter what their playoff season was. So, I don't think he can be with limited availability. Mon,
the other
go ahead, do your
part,
thing.
Roz and Spears, that I think is important when we talk about load management that I think sometimes gets lost is the continuity and the trust that you develop with your teammates. If you're playing 2/3 of the season, well, at what point am I 100% sure that I can bank on you as we hopefully hit a playoff push? And so I think you can't ever forget being in the trenches with your guys develops a level of trust.
Availability is so important. Glad you both are available today. All right, let's put a pin on this. We'll take a break right now because
Every week that challenge you physically, mentally, emotionally, it takes 100% of what you have every single day to go out there and be successful.
Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs brought their high-flying offense into Tennessee last week, expecting to dominate the Titans, but instead, Ryan Tannehill and company controlled the clock, and the defense came up with 3 turnovers to secure the upset. Some notable spreads ahead of this week's pro football action. Arizona and Tampa Bay are both favored by more than a field goal, and despite the loss, the Chiefs are favored by 9.5 points over the Giants. All right, Marcus and Dan are back with us. Gentlemen, nice to see you again. Who is more likely to be upset this weekend, Marcus? Cowboys or the...
First of all, let me say this. Let me say this before we get started. I'm so sick of being bullied at this network, okay? Because this is a mess. Whoever put this damn segment together, Roz, to ask me if the Cowboys are going to be upset. I don't know where it came from, but here's the thing. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. Have we not been watching the games? Have we not seen this team and what they've been giving up? Turnovers 17 up until this point. Defensively, we've talked about how bad they are, even though sometimes I think they get a raw end of the deal because their offense has been turning the football over so much. I understand that the Cowboys are playing a team that I consider to be Jekyll and Hyde, and when they are at their top, they can play with any team in the league. So as far as it being an upset, the Minnesota Vikings have taken people to the brink, good teams already. But it's the Chiefs because of what I've seen so far at this point of the season. And I know it's the Giants, and I know people look at the Giants record and they say, man, the Giants have had moments in games where you've seen glimpses of this team giving people a lot of problems. I'm not all that crazy about the Dallas Cowboys just going into this game saying, hey, it's the Giants, they not good. I've been on this end before of being the number 1 seed in this division and the Giants supposedly not being good, and then they go on to win the damn Super Bowl after going 9-7. So this is football, it happens. But based on what I've seen so far from the Kansas City Chiefs and how they're giving the football away and allowing teams to stay in games, I got to say that they on upset alert more than the Cowboys.
Can you guys take me off camera and just put Marcus on? And can you show me Marcus's background? Is there, over his left shoulder to our top right screen. What is, yeah, okay. So I'm shocked. Look at this man.
Homer alert.
Look at his face. Man, it's the Cowboys are on upset alert. Cowboys are on upset alert. I got a multitude of reasons why. Number one, since I'm doing this segment with you, I'm saying the Cowboys.
I knew you would.
Number two, I think the Vikings receivers are the best pass catchers the Cowboys have played against since really week 2 in the Chargers. And absolutely since week 1 against the Buccaneers. Tom threw for like 380 against them. Justin threw for 330 outside of his 2 turnovers. So I think the matchup on the perimeter between the Cowboys secondary and their coverage unit versus Minnesota is a little scary because we talked about this. Does Diggs follow JJ, Justin Jefferson? Because if he does, Thielen's got a chance to go off. Vice versa, if he follows Thielen, Justin Jefferson's one of the best receivers in football already. I also think it's a team that is a little bit like Dallas, right? They can throw. What?
Stop, man. Give me a break. Give me just like 2 seconds and then start going again. Stop, man.
Nope. They could beat you.
Because you know
like
I'm nervous.
Dallas. Not as good as Dallas. Not as good as Dallas, but somewhat like Dallas, right? They can run the football. They can throw it around. I think if Dallas plays man coverage, that's where Kirk Cousins eats up the best. I agree with you. The Giants are better than their record, and if Daniels plays well and the Chiefs keep giving the ball away, they can go down there and beat them. But I think the Vikings play at home and the Chiefs play at home. I think the Vikings at home, Dallas having to go to them, gives them the better opportunity to upset the Cowboys.
I got to do something I hate doing, and it is very rarely done because I'm right like 99.8% of the time. But Dan is right. God dog it, man, because it's a better football team.
What's the date?
Minnesota is a better football team.
October 28th.
Golly,
October
bro.
28th.
And he noticed. See, this is the problem. This is the problem when you do a show with your brother most days of the week, is that he know yesterday on NFL Live I was nervous as hell about this game because I told everybody, especially with Dak and his calf situation, and I told everybody, this Minnesota Vikings offense is a mess when you trying to defend it and they rolling. And Kirk Cousins quietly putting together a really good season comparatively to all of these other quarterbacks. And I had to say the Chiefs because I don't want the Cowboys to be on upset alert or to be in a situation where they can lose a game. But Minnesota is a good team. And I said, Dio, give me some credit now. I said before the season that it was not going to be a cakewalk for Green Bay because of the Vikings in this division. And I still believe that to be true. But, man, the Minnesota Vikings are better than the damn Giants. I'm nervous.
Will you go on your podcast with Perk and just make sure that you reiterate to people that I was right? That's the difference between me and you. You're a better man than me because there is no chance in HE double hockey sticks that I ever go on national television and admit you were right and I was wrong. So,
hey, man, stay true to who you are. Roz, I'm staying true to who I am. The man is right, okay? The man is right.
It just sounds so good. It just sounds so good.
Swagoo, what's the chances we're going to get Dan on the Perk and Swagoo podcast?
Can I get a guest appearance?
Can we get him on as a guest?
0 because of this.
That's cold.
We got some recovery to do.
I can talk hoop. If y'all need me to talk hoop.
That's cool. That's cool.
Bro, you know you're going to be on the podcast, bro. Hush.
We got the matchup between 2 of the best teams in the East. Yes, that's right. It's the Bulls and the Knicks. It's the 90s all over again. Chicago leading the East with an undefeated 4-0 record, and the Knicks sit at 3-1. Monica, let's hear from you.
In terms of more noise, and you know I'm a part of the pre- and post-game show with the Knicks, so I'm watching this team closely. More noise, expectations, exceeding expectations. I got to go with the Chicago Bulls. I know. Did you hear my preface, though?
Go ahead.
Listen.
Go ahead.
The preface is important.
Now, I know you work for MSG. You cover the Knicks. Now, do you still have that job after such a statement? Are they still paying you?
Did you hear the preface, Rob? The preface was in terms of the expectations. There are expectations, legit expectations, Legs, for the Knicks to build upon the season that they had last year. Whereas the Bulls, a little bit more like house money is all I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point.
You've done all your qualifying statements.
She gave us some context. It just takes context.
There you go.
Yeah, we got Monica McNutt here, Tim Legler here. All right, guys. Let's think about the future. All right, both teams have a core. Which core has a better chance at a title in the next 5 years? Monica, what's your answer?
All right. In the next 5 years, I'm going with the New York Knicks. And there's a couple of reasons why for me, Legs. I think that they have continuity, obviously, with Tibbs. I think they've got young stars that I'm looking forward to in the next 5 years taking the jump. I understand that right now, Derrick Rose is a huge part of what this team does in terms of commanding that second unit. 5 years? Okay, we'll see what happens. But I look at a guy like Emmanuel Quickley, who now has the opportunity to learn under the tutelage of both Kemba and Derrick. And if he can slow the game down, right? I know that he can hit from behind the arc. He's got a terrific floater. He has the potential to defend. If he can slow the game down, I think he can be a very solid guard/two guard in this league. Then I'm looking at a guy like RJ Barrett, who's gotten off to a rocky start. But if you look at year 1 and year 2 for him, he has made the leaps linear or has built up each year in terms of where he can be. And I like Evan Fournier. I think Evan Fournier now has an opportunity to be the guy for this organization. And I think the youth that they have, that core to me, I just think there's something there. You throw in a little bit of Obi Toppin, who to me, if he really decides to hang his hat on the defensive end and then just be that beautiful gazelle that runs the floor and gets those easy baskets, really can carve out a great spot for himself in this league. So I just think they have the young pieces in place. They've got a coach that I'm fairly confident isn't going anywhere. And so I think they're in a position to build.
I love every aspect of that analysis. Now, look. Okay. Let's be clear here. When we talk about these two teams, I don't think we need to worry about planning any parade routes just yet.
Okay.
We start talking about titles, but when you talk
don't tell
about
Knicks fans that.
When you talk about relevance, relevance in the short term, it's the Knicks. It's the Knicks. And I think she's right. They built a formula last year. They're a tough team. They're a tough-minded team. Guys have grown offensively. Now, what they didn't have last year, they were exposed in the Atlanta series, if Julius Randle struggled offensively, how are we going to win? How are we going to put up a number that's going to give us a chance? Well, they addressed it. They got Kemba Walker. They got Evan Fournier. And some people thought Evan Fournier, like he got beat up the way he played in Boston. It was so obvious he was just a fish out of water, trying to get out of the way of the two forwards. He just never found his lane. They brought him in here for a reason. They've empowered him. This is the Evan Fournier that we saw in Orlando for years. He's a proven scorer. This is a 17 to 20 point every night scorer, efficient. Kemba Walker obviously is a big game player. I think one guy you left out, you covered their roster beautifully. I think a key is keeping Mitchell Robinson on the floor. He has to be healthy.
Yes.
Because I think he has a chance to be one of the top 5 rim protectors in the NBA if he can stay on the floor. He's had an issue with that. His growth, also a key part of this, and the electricity right now in the Garden. There is nothing like it in the league.
Electric.
When it's like this is the best atmosphere in all of basketball. So they've got that as well. So I'm with you. I like the Knicks a lot.
Now, Monica, last season the Knicks were a 4 seed out of the East, right? And a lot of people feel like, it'll be really hard for them to repeat that this season. A lot of the teams in the East got better. So in some ways, could you say, have the Knicks hit their ceiling as far as potential? I mean, how much better could you see them being in the short term?
It's interesting, Roz. I don't think you can answer that question fairly with a lump sum answer. You're going to have to look at each category. Is this team going to regress defensively this year, Legs? Yes, probably. They will not be as stout a defensive unit. Will they still be a good defensive team? Yes. But in the exchange for that, I got Evan Fournier, whose three-point ball is just as pure as they come. I've got Kemba, who is does a tremendous job of pushing pace and can get this team out of some of the stagnant ruts that we saw at points last year. So, in terms of their ceiling, no. But I do acknowledge, and I think you got to be honest about some of the fortuitous bounces that they took advantage of last year as different Eastern Conference squads were dealing with COVID. Miami's back. I think Boston's going to figure it out. I think Indiana is a team that you have to watch in the East. However, what I loved from last year that you can't quantify statistically is the trust that they developed with one another and their coaching staff. And if you listen to guys like Taj Gibson and Nerlens Noel, even Derrick Rose, who have been with Tibbs along his journey, this is almost a new version of Tibbs.
Yeah.
A guy that has an ear for his players in terms of their legs in practice, like he's smiling more. Yeah. There's a little bit more of a dialogue. So I even think that Tibbs has grown coming off of that Coach of the Year award.
He has, and I think for me, when I look at this team and I look at the rest of the Eastern Conference, like who's a proven commodity right now? Milwaukee clearly is. Miami, I agree. Miami's a top 4 team. There's no doubt in my mind. After that, you've got a whole lot of messes to figure out right now. Philadelphia, what is going to happen? What's their ultimate roster going to look like with this Ben Simmons situation? How does it play out? Brooklyn's in the same boat with Kyrie Irving. And James Harden right now showing you some effects of the hamstring and also the rule changes. They've got to figure things out. That's why, for me, the Bulls, the Knicks, and Boston, they're right in the mix of that. So would you be shocked if the New York Knicks ended up with a home playoff series in the first round? I would not be shocked by that. But I think 4 through 6 is going to be their lane, somewhere in there, because there's too many question marks with some of these teams at the top right now.
Absolutely, and me being from Queens, I wouldn't be mad at seeing
No.
them
Come on,
start at
New
home.
York
Okay,
stands out.
Queens.
Come on. Also, do you really think the rule changes are affecting James Harden? We need to talk about that offline.
Yeah, I do actually.
I don't buy it.
No. I think
we got to go to commercial
I'm
break.
sorry, but like, I don't buy it.
I think right now he's still expecting that whistle, and he's not focusing on finishing the
He's
play.
getting healthy. Legs, come on. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry,
it's a
Rob.
lot. It's a lot going on in the Nets.
It's both.
But it's been a pleasure talking hoops with the both of you.
Absolutely.
All right, let's take a
I just want to let the world know I'm ready to go.
We're taking it out right now. The victims roll on through. You want some more? Just roll on through. Come get some more. I'm not scared of Tim Tebow. I'm not scared of Michael Irvin or Keyshawn. Something must be wrong.
You were wrong.
What?
You were wrong.
What?
Come on.
I'm taking Dak Prescott. Oh my God.
Stephen A's
Wearing a crimson tie.
Even A.
What? You done lost your mind. You hear me with your mouth and not with his ear. Listen with his ear, not with the mouth.
I think you're getting nervous.
Roll on through. You want some more? Just roll on through. Come get some more. We're taking it out. An accident coming. I see it coming. All y'all have started something.
Hey.
Sweet.
Was that you dancing, Dan? I thought I saw you dancing a little bit.
I got a little bit. You and Marcus gets to see it daily. I got a little bit in the bag.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you don't like it, but I'm gonna call you Mini Swagger on this one. I saw a little shoulder movement.
I get it in when we're in when we at live. I get it in. You know, I just
You get it in.
He gets it in. What's up, Marcus?
I can get it in. I can get it in.
What's happening, Ross?
okay. The producer's
some of
literally
it
saying,
rubbing
"Let's
off
get to
on
it."
Dan, Ross. Some of it rubbing off on him.
All right, Tom Brady, he threw his 600th career touchdown pass last week, further solidifying his position as the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. But the NFL is a league of many great players at many different positions, from Jerry Rice to Emmitt Smith to Deion Sanders. So, Dancing Dan
Dance again, you want me to
Dancing Dan, that's your nickname. Is Tom Brady the best NFL player ever?
Yes. Yes. This is the easiest question of the day. Tom Brady's the best NFL player ever. I think Tom Brady's in the conversation for greatest athlete ever. When you own as many records, which is basically every single one, both individually and in a team sport, in an era where money was a factor because of the salary cap, it puts you into a different conversation. No player has accomplished as much as Tom Brady. No player has done as much as Tom Brady, which he's also done at the hardest position in all of sports. Playing quarterback well, successfully, over a long period of time is the hardest thing to do in all of professional sports. Playing quarterback well, individually, and then conquering the team aspect of it like no one else has ever done before makes him the greatest NFL player in the history of the league. And I don't think it's close. You're not going to say anybody to Tom Brady. Hold on. Can I make guesses on who you're going to say? Can I make guesses on who you're going to say?
Go ahead, dude.
No,
All right,
I'm gonna say it.
I'm gonna make a guess. Hold on.
Don't
I'm gonna make a guess.
because
Yeah.
I could have absolutely guessed yours. Obviously.
Because it's the easy answer. Are you gonna let me guess yours? Are you gonna say you're gonna say
What
Dak
is wrong?
Prescott? You're gonna say Dak Prescott?
Boy, stop. Lawrence Taylor is the best football player to ever play in the NFL. And it's because how dominant he was. It's because how he changed games from a position that you're not supposed to change games from. And teams literally had to scheme for one guy as opposed to the entire team. When you look at dominance and when you look at the way the game was played then, Lawrence Taylor impacted the game more than any quarterback in his era. He impacted the game more than any running back. He impacted the game more than any receiver when you played the New York Giants, an 8-time first-team All-Pro playing linebacker. You know how hard that is to be the defensive player of the year 3 times in the NFL? to be a sack leader, over 1,000 tackles, over 100 sacks, and changing the way the game was played. When they implement new rules for you, that means you're a guy that changed literally a thing about the league that they hadn't foreseen. I get it. I understand. Easy to say Tom Brady the GOAT. He's the best quarterback to ever play in the NFL. But this question is player. And that will be Sir Lawrence Taylor.
Say, man,
give me my $1 million.
So you were talking, when you were rattling off all your stats and you said 8-time All-Pro.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard that is to do? No, Marcus. I was a backup for 12 years. I have no idea how hard it is to become an All-Pro, bro. Let alone an 8-time All-Pro, okay? Where was I going to go with this? All right, first of all, you said
don't
dominance.
know because it's LT.
You said dominance. Like Tom Brady's not the most dominant player in the history of the NFL. The man has thrown for more touchdowns than anybody ever. He probably got more touchdowns than some organizations do. Then you said change the game. Tom Brady literally changed the way quarterbacks go about their preparation, the way quarterbacks go about their offseason, the way teams go about preparing to play against Tom Brady. You've heard some of the best defensive minds in all of the NFL talk about how they would try to scheme stuff up for Tom Brady so unsuccessfully. Marcus, this dude's 44. You go for walks on a daily basis. You told me 2 weeks ago, hey man, I went for this walk and my body was all sore. I don't understand what Tom Brady's doing at his age. So LT's 14th in all-time sacks. 14th. That means 13 guys in the NFL have gotten more sacks than him. Nobody's got more yards, touchdowns.
Let me ask you a question.
All that stuff.
Let me ask you a question, Dan.
What?
Let me ask you a question.
What?
All right. Tom Brady right now leads the league in most touchdowns thrown, right?
Yeah.
You think that's going to last with the way the league has changed? Let's be real. Let's be real about it. You think that's going to last with the way the league has changed? Hell no. Lawrence Taylor came into every game with every team knowing that we had to stop him and they couldn't.
Your mother would be mad that you're lying on television.
Don't miss it. HBCU love. Let's go.